the presentation here and in front of you, so we'll just go through it that way. I'm going to project it on the screen. Thank you all for having me, for letting me come hang out with y'all for a couple of months, maybe. And I have done a very quick deep dive into your financials, planned, looked at your revenue for next year, some expenditures for next year, and so from what I can put together in a really quick 2 weeks, I want to give you an update on what this year potentially will look like, some projections for next year. Still some work to be done for next year, but knowing what we know right now, I want to go through it with y'all and kind of get you updated on your financials. So before we get started, some unknowns in this moment that I want you to be aware of. We don't know certified values quite yet. Those will probably be out by the end of the week. I think they actually have till Monday to get those to us. So we don't know what certified values will be, which means we also don't know what your tax rates will be for next year. So those are a couple of unknown things. Right now we're just projecting and estimating. So just keep that in mind as we go through. Next page, just what we're going to run through this evening. 25, 26 projections, some possible amendments. We're going to look at your fund balance, and then 26, 27, what you've done so far, what your admin staff has done so far, what still left to do, and then we'll look at the projected budget for 26, 27. So let's kick off 25, 26. So you've got, just kind of a recap in front of you, and then you've also got a sheet that I think it looks similar to what you've seen in the past. I took Scott's template that he used and kind of tweaked it just a little bit to give y'all an update of estimated. I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Oh.
Unless it's in board book.
No, it's the two.
Is it now?
Yeah, it's what I've seen emailed you.
It is in board book.
This afternoon.
I looked a couple of times. I didn't.
Okay, I don't. Okay. What can I share with you?
We can make copies.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I'll make
Get a
copies.
copy.
I got it right here. Do you have
Which one was
a
Is that one I sent you in your email? The
There was two PDFs
Yeah.
on board book.
And you want
One
which one?
was
Copy, yes. Yeah, there's three
current,
attachments
and then
total
one
on
was
that email.
the
Projected?
26, 27 post. Yeah.
Thank you, Burnett.
Thank you.
So we'll just go through the details on the slide while she's doing that. Just comparison. So 25, 26, we're estimating revenue right at about $19 million. You can see that's down from about $21.3 million in the previous year, and I pulled that from your audited financials from last year. And so that's right at $2.3 million decline. And a few things I want to point out that I think are important on why the decline. You received a loan in 24-25 of about $900,000. So that's a substantial revenue that you're not getting moving forward. You sold some property in 24-25, which was about a $193,000 increase in the prior year that you're not seeing in 25-26. You got a donation. The description I found, you probably know what this is, but it says a Weaver Foundation donation for $181,000. And then you got $158,000 in SHARS revenue, which you're now sending $78,000 of it back. SHARS program it was very beneficial several years ago. It has become very cumbersome, labor intensive, lots of reporting, lots of paperwork, almost to the point where I see often districts moving away from it just because the revenue is not worth the paperwork that it takes. And so you have not received any SHARS revenue this year, and so that's another decline.
So that 8,000 that we're sending back, is that just monies that we didn't use?
78,000.
Oh, it's
Yeah, and so what that is the government did an audit of everybody's SHARS program across the state of Texas. And when they did that audit, they readjusted some calculations, some allowability, and so across the state of Texas, every district saw a decline. And so those that had already been paid, it's the federal government saying, we'd like it back now. And so you're refunding them.
And the great part about it is that they did it in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
They didn't do it before the budget process started. They literally did, I think December, January is when they were doing. There's a lot of people talking about lawsuits. It was a big deal because everybody had budgeted a certain way, and then they just decided they were going to make the change.
And I mean, I guess a silver lining to it, if you want to try to find one, most districts used SHARS money as sort of an offset to what they're already doing in their special ed department. It typically wasn't things that you receive the money and then do additional work for. So I would suspect that you probably didn't add additional staff, you didn't add additional programs, buy additional things because you got SHARS, whether it was just a supplement to what you were doing. So if we're going to try to find something good in it. And then finally, this is kind of one that stood out the most to me because this is a decrease in revenue, not just for this year, but I think going forward, is you have your enrollment decline, which went from 1309 down to 1246 last year, so pretty significant. And then, of course, I believe you've probably had a lot of conversations about this in recent weeks, but your do not come period. That was also a decent amount of revenue that you lost. And then finally, when I was looking through your PEIMS reports, I noticed a significant loss in your CTE counts at your high school. And so if you take into account the loss of that CTE funding, your do not come period, and then that enrollment decline, it was about $723,000 in lost revenue that you missed out on. And I know there's probably not much you can do about the enrollment decline, but just as you're evaluating, your master schedule, your offerings for those high school students, that do not come period in those CTE classes, that's a lot of revenue that you're missing out on here in your district. So that right there, I mean, they add up real quick. A handful of things: the loan, the sale of the property, the donation was right at about $1.4 million out of the 2.3. But I mean, $700,000 that it just was lost revenue that I think you missed out on. And that hurts the bottom line. And so now that you have the update,
And how long has that been going on? I mean, how long, you're saying lost revenue, but has it been going on since 24, 23? Because this has been going on forever, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think your enrollment decline, all I looked at was from 24 to 25. So I think we talked about it maybe when we were here in February, and I don't remember.
Because I thought when we talked about it in February, we said that the do not comes weren't, it's not going to make us or break us on where we're at.
So that was about I looked at it from the reports I got from DNR. It was about 17 in ADA was what the final do not come ended up. And then about 45 in lost ADA from your enrollment decline. So that alone was, it was only $244,000, but you always think about losses like that in terms of teachers. What's your average teacher salary? And while it was only $244,000, I mean, how many staff was that? And so, no, $244,000 is probably not going to make or break you, but when we flip over to the next slide and we look at your fund balance, it'd be nice. Yeah. So I mean, to have those kids here and enrolled in your district, and then they're just not showing up to get, I mean, one, they're missing out on their education, and two, you're missing out on a lot of funding. I feel like it's an opportunity cost that just, it seems like a no-brainer. So, okay, and then the rest of 25, 26, what I had available to me was, prior year payroll. So I just kind of went in and I did some estimations based on prior years. And so I estimated out what July and August payroll looks for you. I went through and looked at your utility costs. I asked Scott before he left what he knew was coming. So with the information I had available to me about a week ago, this is what I put together. If there are expenses coming in that I'm not aware of, and I hope there's not, but me being here for 2 weeks, that could be. So, but we're estimating right about $1.4 million in a total deficit rather than the 2.6. So, I think that's positive news. I mean, 1.4 is definitely not something that you want to see habitually, but when you thought 2.6, 1.4 doesn't sound too bad. we kind of looked through in that bottom section, where are you saving? Why are you were at 2.6, now you're 1.4. Why is that? And so I kind of dug through some details. Skyward is down today, so we have been very limited in what we could do. So the details that I could see before I got here today, your payroll is, it's pretty spot on, right at 97% as what you're going to end up spending based on what you budgeted. So not a lot of leeway there. Your supplies right at about 75%. So coming in a little bit under. What we noticed the biggest, under budget item is in your other operating cost. And there's a handful of line items that were budgeted last year that just weren't utilized. I can't speak to that. I can just see that they were budgeted and not used. I don't know if there was intent in those. And so as we kind of set through and look through things today, so one thing Dr. Avey and I talked about was, do we carry that forward for next year? And I think that that's an opportunity for y'all to save some costs and just not budget for those line items next year. So we'll talk about that a little more here in a little bit. But overall, you can kind of see in what categories you're coming in under budget or right at for the end of this year. And one final thing I want to mention before you ask any questions, just to talk about some potential budget amendments for August. Potentially function 11. Right now we're estimating 97.8% of the expenditures at the end of August. I would probably suggest that you amend that up just slightly to allow for, like I said, any last minute expenditures that come in, audit adjustments that may happen, and it's really tight for you to end your year. So I don't want you to get in trouble for that if you don't have to. And then same with function 33. You're right at 98.7% estimated expenditures, so I'd amend that up just to give yourself a little cushion for those end of year adjustments. Function 41 will for sure need an amendment. When I looked through the detail to see why that was, your legal fees was one area that stood out to me. That was quite a bit above your budgeted. I think it was $16,000 or $18,000 above what you budgeted. Of course, a lot of this overage is what I've estimated out in remaining payroll. So, I tried to go a little high on that, just for conservative sake. But I would say the bulk of that was in those additional legal fees. If there was payroll differentials in 41, I just don't know that detail right now to speak specifically to it. And then the last one, debt service, you're right at 100%. That's fine. There are some accounting for different leases, different multi-year subscriptions, and so I would recommend amending that up just slightly in case your auditors do come in and make any year-end adjustments. I don't anticipate that, but like I said again, better to be safe than sorry. So those are the areas that I would recommend adjusting in August. So looking through that was pretty quick as we went through there. Any questions about this current year?
On the current year,
Mm-hmm.
This is all showing as of July the 8th.
Yes, so
Correct?
Yes, I pulled all that on July 8th, and like I said, I estimated out July and August payroll, and that's your biggest expenditures. So I think I estimated a little over $2 million left in July and August, and then of course your August accruals will be posted as well. So that's
What about the revenue side of it?
I did go ahead and estimate out the revenue. I planned for any due to, due froms, your last August state payments, your July and August tax collections. So your interest revenue, I tried to estimate that out as best I could. And obviously interest, not seeing your bank accounts and things like that, those were estimates based on prior
Okay,
months.
so that 1.4 deficit then is got.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, like I said, I hope that my intent was to kind of aim high on the expenditures. I'm not sure they're going to see a worst case scenario and vice versa. But, like I said, if there's expenditures that come in that I'm just not aware of, then of course we'll deal with those as they come along.
Can you, and you may have already, I know you talked about it a little bit while ago, that 149.5, other resources.
That was a sale of
What all makes that up again?
I'm sorry.
What all makes that up again?
There was a
Is that the
sale
sale,
of
no?
something. You sold some property this year?
The sale of
There was bar.
Okay. It was something, so that entire amount was that one purchase, or one sale, I guess. So that'll also go away after this year. I did happen, that other resources makes me think, one common thing that you might see down there is, I don't know if you're aware, but if your food service, for whatever reason, ever runs on a deficit, that is not allowed through the Department of Agriculture, and so your general fund must make up the difference if that ever happens. And I just happened to meet your food service director, and he gave me a report that he thinks that he anticipates that to be a nice size increase, or a surplus anyway, in that program. So you won't have to supplant any of those funds. So that is not a common thing that I get to say to districts. So if we're going to say anything good tonight, congratulations on your food service department. And then another thing to keep in mind on that deficit, some things that you did spend some substantial money on, just as a reminder in 25-26, you bought a lot of HVAC units, or you spent a lot, I don't know that you bought a lot, but you spent a lot on HVAC units. Several vehicles for your safety department, 4, am I right? Is that right? 4, right. That was about $350,000, so that was a big expenditure. And then the other thing that you bought was a bus. So you've got that in the bottom line too. So those are some big capital expenditures, which are fine. I mean, that's some things that need to happen occasionally, but anyway, I just want to point those out. Those are your budget.
On all the HVAC stuff that we're fixing, are we patching stuff up or are we buying new stuff? And the reason I'm asking is because I know in the past, we were just patching stuff up. And then when we went to fixing stuff, it cost us an arm and a leg. So we thought about just whenever our old HVAC stuff is going down, let's replace it instead of patching it up.
That's a great question, but I
Didn't
can
say so.
For the
No,
Yeah,
last
we
a long time ago, yeah.
for the last HVAC, it was completely brand new.
Yes.
Brand new
Yeah,
system,
no,
yes,
here.
because it was for the high school office.
Yeah, because they went ahead and.
I just didn't want to be just band-aiding the old stuff when we
Yes,
could
sir.
just go ahead
You
and...
know, it's a completely
When
new
Albert
system.
was looking, that's what he was saying. He said we just kept putting a bandage and they kept messing, so he got, it's all
Yeah.
good.
I just wanted to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Did
No,
they
it's all
get
good.
the high school, is it, as of the end of the school year, is it working okay?
Yeah, well, they had to come. They had to come in initially because I guess the initial thing was kind of a lemon, so they had to send somebody from Lubbock and completely redo it. And ever since then, I haven't heard anything. Yes, sir. Because normally I would hear something either from Amy or Kathy. They're quick to say, "Hey, it's hot in here" or something like that, and they haven't said anything.
How about leaks? This was a good time to find out if we got all the leaks fixed at the gym.
Well, we are in the process of-
We're still navigating all the leaks.
Figure that out, Nick.
Yeah. We had an entire team, engineers, architects, like a whole team out here 2 weeks ago, and so we are now expecting a written report, and then we should have a full remedy, a written plan of what they're going to do. And so that's the next step in that process. But what the problem that they had is they couldn't get it to, when we have a really heavy downpour, with the amount of rain, it's going to come in. And so when they water test, and it's like a hose, it's not the same.
Not the same.
And so we said next time they water hose, we'll be happy to try and get some like fire trucks out here to water test it. So they're in the process of getting that written report to us. So. Mm-hmm.
Anything else on current year? Okay, next page, just a history of your fund balance. I think as we, talk about the deficit of 25-26, we continue to talk about the deficit of 26-27. This is not a fun graph to look at. It's not a fun one to talk about, but I think it is your reality, and it's important that you see this. And what? Two things concern me when I just look at this from someone who stepped in a handful of days ago. One, that it's so consistent. I know you had that brief uptick in 24-25, but consistently a downward trend. And what we're seeing, I think most recently, is it's not a consistent downward trend necessarily because of, constant facility upgrades, constant capital expenditures. You're moving into a deficit because of those recurring costs like payroll. And so it just something I definitely want to point out and that you're aware of as you move forward, because payroll is always going to happen, but so are these other expenditures. You're also always going to need another bus. You're also always going to need more HVAC units. I know you only replace one building. The other ones are going to go down at some point. You can guarantee that. Your technology will always need to be renewed. And so there is, some protection that needs to happen to your fund balance in those instances. The recommended fund balance for TA is 3 months, which according to your 25-26 budgeted expenditures is right at $5.4 million. I'll tell you, if you get to that recommended amount, it's a serious situation. Yes, you checked the box, but it's not where you want to be. And so you're still above that. I mean, we're estimating at the end of 26-27 right now, $12.6 million. But I just...
Do you know, and you may not know this yet, what it costs per month?
I don't know. Well, that 3 months is $5.4 million, so a third of that.
About
whatever that is.
about three.
Yeah. So, there's fund balance. Next page is just kind of a recap of that's some of the things that I've heard you've done, I've seen that you've done, maybe some things that I can just see real quick from being on the outside looking in that I would recommend that you continue to do. One thing that has made this budget process much easier is the fact that you've already updated your compensation plan for next year. I'm sure your HR staff could talk about how much easier it is to recruit people when they know what they're going to be paid. It's been a lot easier to plan to see, I know you've done a lot of absorbing through attrition, but you've also given those raises. So you can see bottom dollar in this moment, how far have you come, how far do you still have left to go, and that's given your admin staff a lot more time to evaluate those evaluations. And the first thing I thought of, just as an employee for these 12-month employees, when you approve a raise before July 1 and they start getting that new money, it's all TRS eligible. Whereas if they retro pay, and I know it's always a small amount, but those at the end may be counting every penny as they get ready to retire. So it just makes all their compensation for that year TRS eligible. So I really commend you on doing that. That did make life a lot easier when we were planning. So great job there. And I see that pretty often in districts that I help. There's, I think it's becoming more and more common. Fewer and fewer are doing those late adoptions. And I think for this reason, just for planning. So you did that. Another thing that you have done on that third column is just evaluating your staffing. I've looked into some of the details, for slightly, but I've heard them talking about all the absorptions you've done, and we'll see it on the next page, the amount of money that you save just in evaluating efficiencies and where you've been overstaffed, and you've been able to do it on your terms, like as people are leaving rather than because you have to. And so I think that's really smart to get ahead of that while you have the opportunity. And then two things that I would just recommend continuing to do. I know you have a lot of buildings. I think that maybe there's a talk of some campuses that may or may not be, we're spending more money than they're bringing in just from your enrollment declines. And so, just that constant evaluation of, do we need 4 buildings? Does 4 campuses make sense? I know that's a hard conversation to have for those that may have been here for a minute, but when you think about the additional admin, the safety, the custodial, the utilities, just the general maintenance of a whole building, do you have enough students in that building every day to make it make sense? And so if the answer is yes right now, that's great. But if you continue to see that enrollment decline, I think as we look at that bottom line and your fund balance just continuing to decline, that's a hard conversation that you're going to have to really evaluate. Does it make sense to have all 4 of those campuses? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is just to continue monitoring your staffing. And not just the number, but are you hiring and do you have staff in place that are appropriately certified? Are they core content certified? Are they, when you're looking at your master schedules, does their student-teacher ratios for each teacher make sense? Are you maximizing just who you have in your buildings versus your student needs? And so I think in hearing Dr. Avey and Indian talk about that, I think y'all are working towards that and doing a good job. But just a reminder, just appropriate staffing will save you, a ton of money in the end because you don't have people, with maybe duties that aren't a full day. And then one thing I'll talk about here in just a minute, I have it on this page, but I want to go ahead and bring it up. So before, I know we'll hear more, a little bit about your insurance costs, but huge savings on your insurance costs. I'll get to say the good news from last year to this year. I think it's about $163,000 savings, which is great. I just happened to be in the building today when he came by and he said that, and I let him have that moment for about a half a second. I was like, well, that's great, but if a hailstorm goes in tonight, that's shot, right? And he was like, well, yeah. Okay, well, I think that's important for y'all to know. It's gone down so much because you had a store back in 2021, I believe you said, drop off. But just that quickly, it can come right back on. And so I mean, you're going to see some savings now, I hope, for some time. I mean, I hope you don't have the storm blow through. But I just want to remind you how temperamental that one line item is. And it's not just a couple $1,000s here and there. You're talking multiple FTEs worth of costs that you really can't do anything about. And so it's just another reason to protect some of that fund balance for if and when that happens, so that you don't have to affect personnel and payroll when you have those additional costs come up. So moving into now what you've done to get ready for 26-27 on that next page. So just we'll recap real quick. Revenue, you can see it's projected from 19.3 down to 18.7. Reason being, again, we are actually budgeting on the decrease in ADA. That's one thing that's down. I believe your values are down slightly, so you'll see a little bit of a decline. Of course, that will change here in the next few days when we get certified values. So revenue number is, I'll tell you, it is certain to change because we don't have certified values yet. So this is the best estimate we have now. Ideally, you won't see a big shift in your certified values. I'm just not familiar enough with Dawson County to know how that typically comes in. But with the information we have available to us today, right at 18.7 million. Estimated expenditures is 19.8 compared to 22. So a pretty good decrease from last year, which is leaving you with an estimated deficit balance right now of a little over $1 million. So I just want to talk through what that means and why we're still in the $1 million range. One thing let's start down at the bottom of this additional page right here that you have separate. I want to point out all your payroll savings. You're down $1.4 million. And like I said earlier, because you've already approved those raises, your HR staff already has that into your Ascender program. So Skyward. So we absorbed the positions and added in the raises, and you've still saved $1.4 million. So that's huge in the work that you're trying to do to bring that deficit down. So you can see a decent size savings there. Your professional and contractor services down slightly. Supplies up ever so slightly. Your operating costs, you can see it's not moving down much on that right at $2,900. One thing that, as Dr. Avey and I went through today, we have found a handful of line items that I think when Skyward comes back up and we have time to look at some real historical detail, I do think there's some more that you could trim off that budget in just items that maybe have been budgeted for a few years consecutively that, do we really need them? Maybe not. And so I do think in the 6,400 group and those other operating costs, I think you have some opportunity to save some more money, but I think a good admin review of that would be beneficial just to make sure that you can save in that. And then your debt service, I do want to point that out. You are, it's hanging roughly the same, same there, no big change. One thing to point out though, you do have a lease to Apple that expires. This will be your last year. You have to pay that, and then you'll just be left with the lease for. What else are you leasing for?
It's the Apple lease.
More. Okay, so the rest of your technology. So you will have some savings there after this year in there. So just kind of one thing to point out. And then, of course, you realized some savings because we didn't budget for those safety vehicles again. We didn't budget for the HVAC again. And we didn't budget for the bus again. So it's about $660,000 that you saved. And so, in talking to Scott before he left, he mentioned that there's no plans for that next year. We can take those all off. Great. I took them out. They're not in the budget now. But I did kind of hesitate, and I don't know what your fleet looks like right now. I would advise you all recommend to take a look at that to see does it make sense rather than you buy nothing, and then all of it one year. That's a big hit to your bottom line. Does your fleet make sense to maybe strategically plan those out so that you're always buying a little bit?
And we used to.
Okay.
And so that's what we used to do. But I want to say more than 5-6 years ago that's why you see those big purchases of SRO units. You see a bus. You see that's why that's where we were at when we made those decisions because of
But
we
it
didn't
makes-
have it in a rotation.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, as far as the rest of the fleet, I mean, we've done some good things with the buses and
Okay.
stuff like that, but the rest of the fleet needs
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, and to hear you say you bought 4 SRO vehicles, I don't know what the vehicles are. But I wonder if there could be some kind of dual purpose to those even. I assume your safety officer probably spending most of their days at the campus. So could you get creative in using some of that multi-purpose in some way? Maybe not, but I'm just thinking out loud in some potential savings. Of course, what is not a decrease in here yet is the insurance. Because like I said, we just found out this afternoon, so I think you already had this in your packet by the time we knew. But we can take another $163 out of this bottom line, so that'll get us under the $1 million mark once that goes away. That's a goal we're shooting for. And then kind of going through down the list of some other things I wanted to point out. Your 51 expenditures, I don't know if we didn't really talk about it earlier, but you're only spending projected 92.8% in this year. And so I looked as to why you have an 8% window of under budgeting, and could you reduce that this year? And what Scott did tell me before he left was that you are under a new electricity contract, and that increased your rate slightly. And so he had increased that budget in 25-26 to allow for that increase, and so we're going to leave it higher. And so I don't think, based on what I've heard, I don't think you'll see that gap this year that you were seeing last year. I hope it's enough. I don't know what the old rate compared to the new rate is to know if that increase was enough. So definitely something to keep your eye on as you move through the year. And I'll point that out, just, kind of heads up. If they come back, somebody, in February next year, and like, well, I think we may need to amend the budget for our electricity costs, you are under a new contract. And so there is that hanging out there. On your security, I know we've talked about that a little bit. I noticed it did go from $800,000 down to $450,000. Obviously, that's because you're not buying the vehicles next year. But I was curious as to how much you generated in just an allotment for your safety compared to what you're spending. And the way that allotment works, because you're not aware, you get $30,000 per campus, and then an amount per student. And so I pull up your funding to see, And it reminded me that you are only a one-campus district according to TEA. So, which means you're only generating about $60,000 and spending right about $450,000. So, as you're comparing ins and outs, that's a big one that's very off kilter. So, just want to bring that to your attention moving forward. And then again, just a reminder that we have taken all those capital expenditures out. So, we did leave in the HVAC was 164. We took away 114. So there's still 50,000 in there in case you have a water leak, a windstorm, whatever. So you have a little bit to make some repairs, but if something major happens, that's a budget amendment that's not accounted for now. If you do decide you want to buy vehicles, that's not in here now. And then just a reminder that Apple lease does expire for this year, so you have $350,000 that will go away. But at that point, your devices will be 5 years old, so you may get a year or two reprieve, and then right back around to it. And then just kind of a reminder of some things that do need to be finalized that will be certain to change the bottom line before you adopt. We've budgeted as best we can for vacant positions, so if you know that you have a spot that will be hired, we've estimated salaries, and so as those get finalized, it'll tweak the budget up or down depending on experience of the new employees. So still some finalizations to do there. One last thing that we talked about a lot. I know y'all have talked a lot about how to decrease your expenditures. So you've done a great job at absorbing some positions already. I think you've cut out some of those, like I said, capital expenditures. But then on the revenue side, unfortunately for a school district, your avenues of revenue are few and far between. We don't have a lot of options, and so I just want to reiterate again, point out some new things. Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Do not come in those CTE. I mean, if you can get kids back from your enrollment decline, that would be great. That's probably not as likely of a scenario as adjusting those other two that you have more control over. Another thing is just looking around, and do you have capital assets that are there? Maybe old buildings, old vehicles, old whatever. Are you sitting on things that you don't need that you could dispose of and generate? It's temporary, but it's still some income. And then a final thing that I'm currently working on for you is your investment revenue, your interest income. One question that I asked was, where do you have all your money? And I think it's all here in your local depository, which is fine. And so I looked into what your interest rate is, and it's right about 2.6%. So I've called a handful of investment pools that districts all over the state of Texas use, and you're missing out on about a percentage point on your interest income. So in August, this is July, in August, we'll bring back to you a review of your investment policy, just so that you know what you said you're doing with your money. And then in September, a couple of resolutions to invest in those pool accounts and to just try to bring in as much money as you can. Because I think just from what I've quickly calculated, I think you could easily earn another $60,000 to $75,000 if you just maximize where you're holding your money. And again, talking about how many FTE is that. So.
We've been asking about that quite often.
Okay.
How much is?
Yeah. I did. So I've read through your investment policy online.
Apparently we haven't been told everything.
Okay. And so it does say to recommend, or y'all through your policy recommend diversifying your funds. And so I've tried to find two of the highest paid options for you. There's no minimums for you to carry in any of those. There's no limits to how often you can move money in and out. You have a lot of freedom. You can keep it as liquid as you want. And so I do think that would be an avenue to get you a little more money. I mean, you're not getting rid of your deficit on your interest income, but I think at this point, anything.
What'd you say the rate is you've been earning?
It's 2.6 is what I saw in June, and when I had some conversations last Friday, and they were running right at 3.6 in those pools. Some of them up to 3.8. So.
Do we have everything over in First United? Is that what's at? How many times have we asked about that?
I thought we decided to keep it there because they also help. I mean,
Well, that's not what we've asked. We've asked about the rates. Is what we've asked. So, okay.
So there's no penalty for us, let's say we got the 75,000 for HVAC. We could pull that money and no penalty.
It just helps you diversify it. You want to keep a certain amount in your depository for sure, to probably at least 3 months. I think is
What's the amount?
standard.
Do you know what the amount is? Okay.
Yeah, I think we figured today it was like 1.7 per month.
Yeah.
So if we kept 3, it'd be 5. If we kept 3 months of operating, it'd be like just over 5 million, and then the rest you could shift into a deposit or into one of the investment pools, and you can put it in different increments so that you can, if you need access to 250,000 or 500,000 or whatever it is you need, you can put it in different increments, and so.
So does First United now, does it require for us to have a certain amount of money in First United?
No, your depository, I have not read our depository contract, but typically you just have a depository contract with them. It doesn't require you to keep your entire fund balance account with them. I can tell you that First United did not give us the highest rate in Seagreaves when I was there. And their rates were different for different banks, because I know Seminole was offered a different rate than we were. And so I met with the bigwigs in Lubbock, with Dr. Carr, in fact, and they wouldn't match it. So we diversified, and we put money into different, some other
Well,
pools.
places like Texpool and other places like that are going to pay more than what any, nothing
Yeah.
against First United, but any bank.
And your current policy, in board policy requires less than 180 day of liquidity, and so you're not going to, we don't have the option to lock it up to where you can't access it. So there is comfort in that. You have, at least within 6 months, you have access to your funds.
So that would be drawing new contracts and everything in order to do that?
No.
Just pull the money and move it?
So as we prepare for 26-27, here's where here's where we are right now, and so just kind of recap what's still left to do. Still need to get those certified values this week. We'll rerun your revenue estimates to update that. I don't expect for it to change much. I don't have a reason from your PEMS reports to change, funding estimates based on, like what you generated by your students for any reason. So those are what they are. Obviously need to finalize payroll, so we may see a, slight up or down depending on how those new hires come in. I do suspect that we'll be able to trim some things off. Obviously, in your insurance, I think you've got some accounts that have been built in, maybe for the past 2, 3, 4 years that are a little high that we can trim back. That I don't think that are necessary. So I do realistically think that you can get under $1 million in your deficit, which is huge, from 2.6 down to under $1 million. I think you've done a lot of great work. I don't know that I'd recommend just sitting back and taking a deep breath quite yet. I still think there's plenty of work to do, but you're on a good trajectory and a good path. So, any questions about next year's proposed budget?
You? Just don't cut my pay.
Double it.
They did. That's what they did. Hey, Ernest, they did. That's what they did.
I forgot about it, man.
So things on the very last slide, just to recap, things that are still left to be done. Like I said, by end of day Monday, you'll have certified values. What happens from there, just you may already be aware of this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. the district will submit your values to TDA within about a week's time. TDA is going to give you your maximum compressed rate, which is the tax rate that you will adopt, plus your however many extra pennies that you have here in La Mesa. So you'll have your M&O rate. On the INS side, we will use what they call a tax rate worksheet from the comptroller, and they give you guidance on the maximum amounts you may adopt on the INS side. The intent is to not adopt a rate higher than what you need to make your debt payments. So we'll calculate that. And then before August 31st, you must adopt your budget. And before September 30th, you must adopt your tax rate. Historically, I've always done those together. I don't see a reason why you should move that past August 31st. So in the month of August, you should have both your budget and your tax rate ready for your adoption.
Do you guys have any other questions about that? I had some questions as we're finishing up and going through the next phases of the last part of the budget process is how many vehicles, if any vehicles, in the vehicle fleet list would the board like for us to budget to replace for this upcoming year?
Do we have a list?
What did Albert? Yeah.
Well, I have from, I can tell you what we have. Hold on just a second. So today when we met, I got, right now, we have 1 Suburban, 2 Equinoxes, and 4 trucks. And then I just proposed, in an ideal perfect world, what should we have? And he said ideally 1 14-passenger van, because then you're not having to use those activity buses. 1 Suburban, 1 Equinox, and maybe 1 sedan, which could be used to go back and forth, like to the service center, or even longer trips if it's only 2 or 3 people going, and then keeping 3 trucks. And so we could bring a proposal to y'all at the next board meeting. I just wasn't sure what you all wanted us to do as far as moving forward. If you want us to look at, 1 or 2 or 3, like this year coming up. He is supposed to be he did ask me today what the plan is with the old SRO vehicles, and I said that is a great question. I don't know what the board wants to do with those. We also have some other assets that we can put up for auction for sale, some old buses and some things. So he's supposed to be bringing me a list of those things, and then we can either go through an auction with those, we can sell those. There's different procedures you can use to dispose of those, but that would be additional revenue. But if we're having to replace some vehicles too, I mean, we're just trying to figure out, like, do you want us to look at getting maybe 2 for this year, trading 2 out? Like, what do you want to?
The van for sure, because we don't.
Well, I would ask. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And I would ask, like, Albert, because he's the one that rotates everybody out to see what would be.
And are we buying or releasing? Have y'all thought about that? Or?
With the number of miles that we put on vehicles, I would not recommend lease at all. But that's also a board decision.
No.
I think we need to wait to see what he has.
Yeah, I think we
Make a list.
see what would be
give his
worth the money.
recommendations. He's the one that deals with them.
But I think a van is ideal. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes we take a big bus.
Well, we don't
We
need
don't need it. I guarantee you that's probably what he would say. Is the 14.
How many vehicles do we have going to level 3 days?
I got that too. So we have 3 total. 2 teachers and 1 athletic.
And each gets one. It's not a carpool.
It is, well, yes and no. So the athletic one was for Jones and for Keith, Coach Keith, but now it's just Jones, and he can't carpool because of his coaching schedule. So whichever coaches are coaching have to have a vehicle. And then teachers, we have 2 teacher vehicles where that is a carpool. And so we'll get together. There's a process that Dan uses to get all of the people together.
We meet at the beginning of the year as far as who's going to be at one of the commuter vans. So we always have an elementary commuter van and a secondary commuter van because they have different start times and end times. And then as far as the coaching van, I know when it was utilized, it was Jones, Isaiah Johnson before he moved here, and then Coach Keith. Those were the 3 that utilized the other vehicle. And I think it was one of the old SRO vehicles that Albert kind of outfitted to work. Yes, ma'am.
I thought that we had besides a commuter, a
Like
2-year.
Jones, how long has Jones been with us?
It's been more than
I was gonna
5
say
years.
about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So why haven't we made him move here to Lamesa instead of him commuting every day? Is there, I mean,
Well, I don't think the board has a policy on people being required to move here. I'm just wondering if there's something I don't know.
well,
Because that's why we have the commuter vehicles for everybody that's commuting.
And then that would mean.
I don't remember.
It, well,
I don't remember.
not that I have a problem with it, but from my understanding, it's the commuters for like like how they carpool. That's it. Like if you're not
Yeah.
like a individual,
One
like
person.
if you can't make it to when they're coming, that's
So he's taking
my.
the vehicle himself?
Well,
I don't
he,
think it's
there
always
were,
been
I think there were 2 coaches,
There was
3
There
coaches.
was 3 at one time, Kevin, using it.
And that's when
it
they
was
would come
Isaiah
in.
Johnson, Jones, and Keith
and Ramos.
while the year was going on. And like I said, I thought, most of the commuters, they turn in their vans at the end of the year. So if this one's still out, that's news to me.
Well, because he comes in the summer.
Strengthening
He still
It
comes
could
in.
possibly be that.
He comes in the summer with strength and conditioning, so that's probably why he has it.
Because I know typically at the end of the year, the other commuter vans are turned in so Albert and his people can service them. Oil changes, all the things to get them ready for the next year.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I don't.
they have some overcrowds every day, so.
But we might do something to look at. Because I think it's been at least 1 years.
It's something y'all can definitely decide how you want to move forward.
I think we need to look into it.
Well, that's, okay, so what we used to have, and that was like a couple of years, okay. Albert's been here 2 years, okay, so about a year ago. That's how we kind of cut costs, because everybody was taking vehicles home. So the only people that took vehicles were like Albert, Ray, and maybe one other person, because they're on call 24. So they'll, and our SROs. Those were the only people that took vehicles home. So I don't know if that's still I don't know. From my understanding, nobody else has a vehicle.
As far as I know, the only ones that take vehicles home are current SROs that were on staff, Albert and Ray. And I think
Like maybe
Labario,
one over, like whoever's on call.
that
Yeah.
does all the cafeteria stuff. I think.
No, I think his was taken away.
No, his doesn't. It's just
His
the
doesn't.
guys
Okay, he
that
leaves it.
are 24,
Okay.
like always.
But I know
on
for
call.
sure Albert, Ray, and the SROs.
That's
Okay.
fine.
And how often do they get called out on the 24 hours?
It just depends.
Maintenance gets called
Yeah.
all
the
the time. I mean, anything like gyms, leaks. I mean,
You name it, they're there.
and it actually cut by a lot, like bill wise.
But they're the ones that come out.
They're the ones that come
Yes,
out.
sir. They're typically the ones to kind of spearhead it and troubleshoot.
Yep.
So what would you guys like to do with the old SRO vehicles?
I'd say auction.
Okay. Okay, and then I'll get kind of a plan from Albert on his best case to all the way to worst case. Like we have this vehicle that like absolutely has to be replaced. It might be 1, it might be 3. I don't know. And I'll get that to you, and we'll get that information sent out to you so you can get some price estimates. And then also disposition. I know we only have about 5-6 minutes left. I sent an email from the city manager about 2 properties that the district owns. The one is the federal building located at the corner of Houston Avenue and North First Street, and then the property at the second part of the property at South 8th Street Park. Is the board interested in entertaining an opportunity to relieve the district of these properties? Are you interested in selling these properties, just gifting these properties? What would you as a board want to do so that we can explore options to potentially move forward?
What condition is that building?
So my understanding is the one on the corner of Houston and North First Street, it has asbestos. It would require an asbestos abatement. It's been vacant for a lot of years. I don't know how many years.
A lot.
And so, there may be some interest from the city on that. So if you guys are interested in entertaining something, I can certainly engage in some conversation with them about doing something with that property.
Are we paying taxes on it?
We're exempt from, we don't pay taxes now. But I mean, we're not doing anything with it, and it does require an abatement. I'm not sure, how did the district, does anybody know how we came to own it?
Didn't we house
He's
it?
He's
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Sorry. As the old guy in the back, that property was gifted to you. It's not a very nice gift, but it was gifted to you, and it is in really, really bad, particularly the federal building, really bad shape. Previous CFOs and the superintendents have looked into condemning that building and basically tearing it down. It hadn't gone very far, quite frankly, but I will tell you it's not on your insurance schedule because it is not insurable. So it is nothing more than an eyesore and a liability. It is on your liability side of things, but you can't insure the building because the roof is almost completely gone on it. So just as my recommendation, anything you can do to get rid of that building, and both of those buildings would be.
Can the Norris Foundation demolish it for us?
We could just gift it back to the city, unless, I don't know who gifted it to us. Do you know who gifted it to us?
So, yeah, I haven't found the original source of where that actually came from. There are several different stories, and I don't know which one to believe, quite frankly. So I don't know exactly where it came from. But yes, if it could be shuffled on down the road, that would be awesome.
So
Yeah.
you guys are interested in me? Okay, and then on the other one, it's the 8th Street Park, just west of South Elementary. It's owned by both the city and the district. I guess the district owns the south portion of the block, while the city owns the water tower and the north portion of the block. So the city deeded the district their portion of the property at some point in the past, but I believe the city would like to improve it, and so if the district is in favor of doing something with that, they would be able to take ownership of it and do something with it. I'm not sure.
Wasn't there talks about like putting pickleball courts out there?
Yeah.
The last conversation we had
Yeah.
about that piece of property.
I mean, if they do something with it, that's good, but I mean, it's
We don't
they know
use it.
That was a plan when Joe Hines was around. I don't know if they talked about it anymore, but that was a plan when Joe Hines was around. They want to make pickleball
Yeah.
courts.
I
out
think
there.
I remember them coming to us, but we were like, what exactly are we going to do?
Yeah.
Maybe that would benefit the district too by having that close to the school. We can use it.
Okay, so are you guys wanting me to explore gifting, selling? I'll have to get with our attorneys to figure out, and the city to figure out. You guys just tell me what direction you would like us to go, and we'll explore options.
Does the city want to buy it?
Yeah.
I have no idea. That's why I'm
I mean,
like,
ask that.
Just,
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, start
the
off
city
with that.
is interested in reacquiring
Money.
the property for some potential
And I would
improvement.
like to know what their idea
Start
is
off with
for
just a
it.
conversation if they would like to buy it.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
then
I agree.
go from there.
Like, not, okay.
There we go. Probably know the answer.
Okay. Yeah, because there was reacquiring it. So they could see some potential improvements to the park. But I will get what are plans. Okay. All right.
Oh,
We invited him.
He shows up. He shows up.
He's all, do you want me to leave? Because I will.
Can I use your highlighter? Mine doesn't work. Oh, it's completely dry.
I got 1 minute. Okay. Oh, okay.
He said, watch me.
What right?
April, do you want to adjourn?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to adjourn?
Yes, I need to adjourn. Okay. This meeting of the trustees of Lamesa Independent School District is now in order. It is 6 o'clock on July 20th, 2026. A quorum is present with all board members present. This meeting has been duly called, and this notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Pastor Boyle, will you please lead us in prayer?
Are we on?
Doing well.
Can I ask you to stand with me, please? Thank you for having me today. Father, we just come before you today. We thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. And we thank you for this opportunity, Father, to gather here. And Lord, we just ask for your wisdom today. We ask, Father, that you be with every board member. Lord God, we thank you, Father, for their voices in the community. And we ask, Lord God, as we continue to move and plan for this school year, Lord God, that you would just bless it. Lord, we thank you for every child, every student, Lord God, and we thank you for every family in this community. And we just ask, Father, that you continue to be here amongst us. Father, be with every conversation, every plan. And Lord, I thank you, Father, for every person that's here today. Bless them, bless their families, and bless the chair that they sit in. Lord, we love you today. We honor you. In Jesus' name we say together.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Do you mind if I say something? I just wanted to say thank you. I'm just so thankful to be able to have this opportunity to come and pray with you guys. My heart's in Lamesa. I know several of you. I might not know a few, but I'm just thankful for everyone that's here. My prayers are with you guys. I know that Lamesa is growing in different ways. I deal a lot with the youth and the students in Lamesa. My heart's there. Right now we're having Vacation Bible School, and we got 60 students in there. Probably have more tomorrow. But I just want you guys to know that we support y'all. I'm praying for you guys, and I believe God has great plans for Lamesa.
Thank you. And while I have him here, Dr. Avey, I know you're out of town, so you might want to get with him. He has offered his church for the ACE program. Might want to get with them on what that means. Is it possible?
Well, the ACE was a I guess it's federally funded grant. And so multiple districts across the state ACE didn't get funded through communities and schools, which impacted multiple districts. And so we were kind of brainstorming some ideas today about how are we going to serve our kids. And so we're looking at snacks, and we're just brainstorming some ideas. I know that the Boys and Girls Club is going to take our students, but they're already pretty full. So we're going to have some follow-up phone calls with them to see what that's going to look like. Yeah. And so we're exploring opportunities. But yes.
Can I share just something real quick?
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, the CWJC gifted us the actual church building right across the middle school. And when we were just renting out the kitchen, the church began to grow and we just needed more room. The board unanimously decided to gift it to us. And since then, our heart has been in the community, partly because they gave us the building was because they knew that all that we had done in the community was to give back. And so when I saw that on social media, my heart just went, and I was like, hey, if we can be there to help our students here in Lamesa, we can do it. A lot of our people at church work full-time jobs, but we're willing to try to do what we can to help. So my heart is that our building would continue to go out to the community. It wasn't just gifted for the church. The board believed that we could do more, and we tried to here in town. So that's the purpose of even asking April or talking about that conversation. So.
When I told him I didn't know legally that side or what he would need to do, but just it's an option. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, did anyone sign up to speak?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
So, I looked at this today and I was like, oh, okay. So, The bills that you usually see in the donations, Skyward has been down all day, so you don't have that check register in front of you right now. The investment and financial report, we have already talked about that. Just want to mention again, the investment side will be bringing updates and new plans to you in the next few months. And then the budget amendment on there, that's that SHARS that's listed is the bill I told you about, the $78,000. As it currently stands, there's enough money in the budget to cover that, but that Function 11 that I talked about may need an adjustment by the time we get to August. So right now there's plenty to cover that payment that we have to send back, but I may bring that to you in August for budget amendment.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about the ESC 17 contract. These are the contracted services agreements that we have with the service center. And so I went through all of those with all of the appropriate people and was waiting for one finalization today. So I apologize. I made y'all a little spreadsheet because I still have not received the instructions on how to print it out of the actual the system that we have to use. It's called I don't know what it is. It's Hive, my EdHive account or something. But these are the service center contracts that we have currently. I went through all of them. We did add a little bit to one, but we reduced $5,000 off of one of them today. So the overall, and this is for a variety of different services that we contract with the service center to provide to us as a district. And our overall budgeted amount went down, I believe, by over $3,000 with the addition of what we needed to add, and then we took away something that we didn't need and we weren't using. So that the total amount for all of those things broken out separately is $78,229.96, and so you'll see what those are all individually for. If you would like the breakdown, each one of the contracts is multiple pages. So I was trying to print you all a summary, and it just they would not send me the instructions on how to do that. So I can go into any one of those individually if you would like for me to do that. Does anybody have any questions about the service center contracts?
On which one did you say the 5,000?
It was the technology, and that was through, it was the network infrastructure contract. Let me go to look at that contract. It's for Securely, and there are 4 different things that we were paying for. And I got with Darla today, there was one thing she said she was almost certain we did not need, and it was the Securely classroom management, because we have that already provided through something else. So we took that off, and that amount that we took off was $4,897.50.
So it's not on here, right?
It's not on here. No, I took it off. Yeah.
Thank you.
What is on the school finance and the business services? What are
Okay.
we doing for us there?
School finance. Let me open up that one. We have the basic business services, which is billed annually, which is $2,000, and then the enhanced business, which is the district preparation for templates, and then hold on, I just accidentally closed out of it. So business service level 1 is let's see, hold on just a second. They can provide up to 6 hours annually in the following business services as needed for payroll, state and federal grants, budgeted processes and coding, financial accounting and reporting, other services including biannual banking depository contracts, first reports, financial compliance for both state and federal regulations, and provide information and training when significant changes occur in business operations to ensure districts have access to understand the impact of statutory and regulatory changes. And that's the one that we have.
Not doubling up anywhere, are those
No,
4 hours?
that's why we went in every I went through each one of these with a fine tooth comb, and that's why we made that change today, because that was the only one I had left to go through.
But like on the school finance, I mean,
Okay, let me go to the finance one. Hold on.
I thought that was always paying Doug Carr for.
we are paying Doug Card. They were contracted specifically to do deep dive analysis. Came in and did a 5-year analysis for us, and they were continuing to assist us with budget analysis and preparation for the current year we just are ending, and then the upcoming school year. So the basic school finance services provides training on school finance and funding issues, including symposiums, which our CFO went to trainings at the Service Center, public investment officer trainings, information and communication on school finance and funding issues, consulting assistance on state funding, TEA summary of finance, TEA cost and recapture reports with excess wealth districts, TEA payment ledgers, and assistance with general school finance issues. Also, limited review and assistance with state aid template of the ESC.
Okay, so all the funding, template, and all that stuff is still through Doug Carr. Is that what you're saying?
They're providing additional analysis with it, but the actual training that goes along that you go to, that's provided through the Service Center. So it's kind of two separate things. They provide similarly the same information, but we contracted with them to help us make sure that when we're going through and we're budgeting and we're predicting and we're forecasting and we're doing all of that they did that 5-year analysis for us, and then they made sure that what we put in for this last year was accurate, and then for this upcoming school year. And so what we're doing with the Service Center is basically the training and the ongoing training and professional development that the CFO or business office staff needs to go for continual updates, etc.
Okay, so the girls in the back go to some of this training?
It is my understanding they go to some training. I'm just not sure who goes to what training.
Most of the time, like the Service Center will offer more in-depth, hands-on, like day-to-day support. They do more of, so if I said, here's how much your template generated in this allotment, the Service Center might take it a layer deeper and say, and this is what you need to do with it in your district. And so they're very much more into the logistics. And seeing as how you've got a new CFO, potentially maybe one that's newer or maybe not as experienced, probably wouldn't hurt to keep that like just very hands-on training available to them.
Does Skyward provide this type of service since we're on Skyward?
I think Skyward provides different types of training. It's very system specific. That's my understanding, but I can't speak to Skyward.
The HR side of things, like we consult with Jimmy is our rep, and he's kind of like when we're doing major rollovers or anything like that, we get on calls with him, and he kind of helps us kind of make sure that everything's going over the way that it's supposed to go over, as far as making sure teacher steps go from 17 to 18, and all the things that we need to do on that side of it. I know as far as Scott would utilize Jimmy as well on the payroll side of things when he was having to pull certain numbers and stuff. Jimmy would kind of be the guidance. Like, we know how to do it, but it's nice to have Jimmy on there with us just to make sure that it's done correct. As far as the HR side goes, that I can attest to. But I don't go to any trainings for Skyward as far as to the Service Center and everything. I do everything through Jimmy.
Is that who Danielle uses also?
Mm-hmm. That's our Skyward rep.
On this grant management, the $17,000, is that for assisting with the grants?
Yes. So we have Cammie Holcomb comes out and she makes sure we stay in complete grant compliance. She goes through every single one of our grants, all of our title grants, all of the things. Make sure that we have our maintenance of effort, all of those things. It is strictly compliance. That is, I'll tell you all, there's a lot that goes into this for its continuous improvement and accountability, plus also Edgar compliance, which is, they've created an Edgar manual. I think it was normally like 92 pages. So they have an Edgar manual that they allow us to use and populate with our own information. That is something that's really big. Accountability monitoring and program compliance. So they're looking at campus and district improvement plans, Title I, Part A, school-wide program, parent and family engagement, district and campus analysis for ESSA, federal programs compliance, federal funding and program periodic review. So they'll make sure that if we get validated, that they walk through that process with us when we get selected. updating the Edgar manual, not supplant compliance and methodology, compensatory education guidance. So all of the federal grants, this is basically the compliance piece that we work through with the service center.
So is
on all of that.
the ACE grant, was that not,
That's separate.
that's separate?
Yeah,
And
that was through communities and schools, not tied to our district. That was funded separately. Yeah, I know it's the same acronym, but this one is Accountability, Compliance, and E-Grants Management, and ACE for communities and schools stands for something different. Do you know off the top of your head? Yeah.
So can I do, again, I don't, on the ACE, so how did we qualify and not qualify now? How did we qualify before and now we didn't qualify for that money?
It's a grant application that communities and schools that is separate from the school districts puts in, and they submit it, and they were just,
But did we submit it or who submitted it?
no, we don't
We
submit
don't-
ACE.
we don't
Yeah,
submit it.
no. It has to go through another entity, and that's through communities and schools. Yeah. So districts all across the state were talking about not getting it this year. So I don't know if some did and some didn't, but I heard a lot of chatter about all the districts that did not get it.
So if we don't have it, so are we still keeping the people, I mean, are they still on our staff?
They won't really are.
Well, they weren't our
Well,
staff.
I know,
Like,
but, so we're not having it, they're not, I mean, I know.
they
we
won't be
didn't pay them,
employed through the ACE program
Okay.
after school. Whoever was employed with us
Right.
remained employed with
but-
us.
Okay, but the ones that weren't.
They
were-
just wouldn't stay for the after-school programming
Okay.
to run the ACE. But Boys and Girls Club may need more people. I mean, it just depends on what we do. Boys and Girls Club did say they would take students as in kindergarten as long as they turn 6 during the school year. We did have pre-K kids and kindergartners that probably turned 6 in the summer. And so we just don't know how many kiddos that was. Frankie, do you know off the top of your head?
Maybe Boys Club can partner with Jeremiah, maybe they can.
Yeah,
get together
and part of that too is like we can't, we provided the snacks. This is something I'll talk about here in a minute. I can talk about it now. Is that Gary looked into the after-school snacks for ACE because we were able to provide those. But because it's not on site, we can't take those and deliver them somewhere else. And so we were brainstorming maybe some possible other opportunities today. We were talking about, do what?
Did you give it to them? Like,
No, in order to bill it, they have to eat it here, like in the building. And so we were trying to figure that out. But then the other piece came, well, they are already very full over there. They already have, I think, like 80 kids over there. And I think we were servicing about 80.
60 to 80 kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's a lot.
So do we have a cost on that? How much did we spend last year on that ACE program? I mean, I know it's a grant.
No,
We don't spend any.
we
It's
don't
a,
spend
it's,
any, yeah.
I know,
yeah.
but how much was the grant? Let me put it that way. How much was the grant?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably hundreds of thousands, if I'm to guess, because it's run all year, and we ran it in the morning for a short time from 7 to 7:30. I can see if
So
I
I
can
just
find
think we
out.
need to come up with something because I've gotten a lot of calls from parents that their kids went to the ACE program.
Mhm.
So I just,
Yeah.
I'm hoping as a board we can come up with a plan to help Mr. Aguayo and
Yeah.
or
And we're throwing around ideas today, and we're going to try and get some more information from the Boys and Girls Club, just because I'm not sure they have the capacity to take even 50% of the kids we were servicing. I was told that this has happened 2 other times in the past, if I'm not mistaken, where we didn't get the grant for like a year at a time, and then it would come back. And I don't know what causes that, but
Yeah, it's happened before.
yeah.
That's where we're at.
So we're still exploring options. So see what other things might be available. So it was good to know. So I wrote that down on here to see if we can get some grant funding to help us offset some of the costs. I highlighted it, so we'll see. Any other questions about contracted services, service center?
No.
Okay. And then the PCAT school insurance. Come on, Chris.
Come on.
Chris was our favorite person today.
And the reason will become very evident why. Had nothing to do with me, and I apologize, by the way, for the pass out, but I just got these hot off the press this morning. This is the same spreadsheet that I use every year. It kind of accumulates and aggregates and shows you kind of where our numbers are. And if you look all the way to the right, then you'll be happy. Basically, and by the way, just let me take one moment because we do have a new old face. Sorry. I had to do that because Albert deserves it. If you don't understand my role, by the way, I am your insurance consultant. I have been doing in that role for many, many years now.
I think we need a new consultant.
I deserve that, by the way. There's no doubt about it. One of the things I do is I shop all of your insurance programs, including, by the way, this proposal that I got today. I have emailed it to TASB just to see. As of today, I've heard nothing from them, and I emailed them about 2 or 3 weeks ago just to see if they were even willing to look at our school district this year. They haven't accepted very many new school districts in West Texas in the last 3 or 4 years because of claims and property claims that drive these premiums up. But we'll see if they respond to this. But this is good news. All the way to the right, you will see this is your 26-27 renewal. It's down 21%, which I was very excited about. The first attempt at doing this, they were down 5%, and so I just called it back and said that's not enough. We had a claim in 21. It was about a $3.2 million claim that has finally fallen off our loss runs or our loss history. So because of that, I said, look, if there's any gift that you can give us this year, we need it because we've had nothing but increases over the last 3 to 4 years. And if you'll notice, the last 3 years were very significant. Now then, PCAT is not the only program that had significant increases. TASB, Travelers, there are several others. Texas Political Subdivision is another one that hadn't quoted a district out here in 10 years. So this is very good news. If you'll notice, basically everything, the property out of that went down. Everything else stayed about the same. Your cyber went down just a tad bit. And your workers' comp, that very bottom column, is through a company called Claims Administrative Services. CAS, you've been with them for almost 15 years. They're very competitive and very good at what they do. So no need to move there. Like I say, I'll absolutely answer any questions you have, but this is a big win, being able to save this kind of money. So, quick update on, as we always talk about, roof things. Working diligently with Albert, and Albert has been a godsend over the last year to organize and keep people up on that roof. I will tell you that we still have the GC involved, the general contractor, and the general contractor being still involved after 4 years is rare. I would have assumed at some point that looked at us and said, yeah, we're out of here. We've done all we can do. So they are still involved. They were in a meeting with Dr. Avey last week or the week before, and they are, as they fix leaks, they find new leaks. These are not necessarily roof leaks. They're design leaks. We have just come to that realization over the last 3 to 4 months. The way some of the awnings and overhangs were installed, some of the brick and mortar around the parapet walls of the gym, they have a barrier system. I don't want to get into all that. But it had failed. They fixed it. There's still one leak in one corner that, again, is really not a roofing issue. It's kind of a design issue. If the board remembers or not, during the final stages of that gym, current administration at the time kind of had those guys, those contractors down to the wire and said, finish it. We got a basketball tournament here, finish it. I don't think they ever did a blue tape inspection. I don't think they ever walked that thing and truly did a blue tape inspection, which is, hey, this is wrong, this is wrong. And so all of this is a remnant of that. Again, your roofing engineers, a guy named Brad Draper, who's put on 90% of the roofs of the school district, is still very much involved. He's with a KWA. He's an actual roofing engineer, has some letters behind his name, and is still very much on top of this. Albert continues to push. We have asked them for one final plan to do some infrared stuff, do some water testing under pressure to see if we can figure out what's going on. They just found, again, the awnings. They're called an Avocet, by the way. Dr. Avey and I learned something. An Avocet is a awning system that they plug in, which are the ones that come out over the entrances and exits. And those are probably not sloped correctly and probably not installed correctly because those were kind of a last-minute ad, and again, everything was pushed through. So the general contractor still being involved and showing up for meetings and responding to emails is a huge deal. So we will continue to work diligently on that to try to get that completely 100% fixed. So I'll answer any questions. That's as fast as I can talk, because I know y'all got lots more to do. Right? And you've been here a while. So if not, thank you very much. I've enjoyed always working with the staff here, and very, very much appreciate this relationship. So
Since everything's going down, just downward trend on everything, does that mean your fees going down too?
do what? I think the battery in this hearing aid, I can't hear anything out of the left ear.
Thank you for your hard work.
It has not gone up.
Oh, okay.
It's in many years, yes. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to administrative reports.
Here. As far as safety and security stuff, I've already finalized our calendar for the 26-27 school year in Sentinel. That's part of the initial process because they got to know what days you're with kids and what days are not with kids, so they can can plan as far as coming to do their audits and stuff. We have been selected for an audit through TEA. I met with their representative on the 15th. And he kind of walked me through the dashboard on Sentinel as far as the documents that they're going to require, and it's quite a lengthy process that I've already started. After that, we went and walked campuses so I could kind of show him what we do, how we do things. So what he's going to do, he's going to schedule a time with Dr. Avey and myself when he's going to come down and kind of give us an audit. It's not a surprise thing. It's going to be one of those things where he's going to come, see what we do well, make sure all the forms that we have are uploaded onto that dashboard. After that initial audit, he's going to say what we've done well, what we need to work on, and he's going to give us a chance to fix those if there's anything that we need to fix. And then he'll come back again to make sure that we remedy those things. So that's something that's on my agenda coming up. As far as salary negotiations, we've kept those as updated as possible. Like she was saying earlier, as far as y'all approving that compensation plan, that allowed us when we rolled over into salary negotiations to roll the new salaries up to give you all a better projection as far as what y'all's budget is going to look like for the 26-27 school year. So that helped us a ton. As far as the school marshal deal, one of the things that y'all are going to need to be approving is policy CKEB. Basically, that's the initial process as far as starting the school marshal program, because one of the things you have to do is we have to submit an application through TCOL. And before we can submit an application with TCOL, we have to have this policy approved because this is the initial stage to be able to submit that application. So once we get that application submitted through TCOL, then there's a process that comes along. Of course, TCOL will start communicating with us and let us know what we need to do. Part of the qualifications as far as becoming school marshal is certain trainings. I believe it's around 80 hours of training and then a psych eval. As far as TCO goes, they kind of give us approved sites where we can send our school marshals for the training and all that stuff. So that's something that y'all will be approving today. The other document that y'all should have attached to board book is the student code of conduct. There's not much that changed from last year to this year. The only thing that I really had to update was names. As far as what happened from last year to this year, as far as coming from TASB, there was no significant changes for you to be aware of outside of me changing employees that are no longer with the district and updating with the new employees. Whenever we were meeting with TASB and y'all approved that compensation plan, that was the compensation plan that I initially did my first year here, so it was it's 2 years old. So we contracted with TASB next year to start the process earlier as far as doing another full analysis to give y'all more up-to-date market value numbers so we can look at possibly getting our employees closer to market, because based on what y'all approved, y'all got about everybody, I believe, to 95% to midpoint based on the new approved pay grade. And like I said, that's something that was very significant for our people. Like I said, we saw a lot of increases, as y'all saw, based on the documentation that Dr. Avey gave you. You have employees that received, especially our employees that really needed help, our TAs, our custodials, our maintenance people, getting anywhere from 6 to 16% raises just based on what y'all were able to accomplish. And that's something that's very appreciated, not by just us in central office, but it's going to be appreciated by them, because y'all are doing what's right to take care of those people, because they're the reason why this school runs and looks the way it does. So I wanted to commend you for that. As far as that goes, that's all I have.
I'll go back up quickly to food services. I've met with Gary. He was going to be here. He has a flight out. He has to be at the airport super early in the morning, so I told him I would report. But basically, there are no changes to the meal prices. It was hot off the press. And I also spoke about looking for options for the after-school snacks and working with Boys and Girls Club. So that's some stuff that we talked about today. But I wanted to let you know there are no changes to the meal prices. So. All right. You ready? Director of Curriculum.
You're up.
Tag, you're it.
Tag, you're it. Which one do you want to start with first? Yeah. All right. So the first one we're going to go with is the T-test schedule for teachers, and this is our evaluation system. And so these are just dates as to what's going to take place. So the initial T-test observation training for new teachers or new to district and new to profession, they start July 1, but we won't hit T-test.
Hold on a minute. And I don't know your name.
Oh,
so
sorry. I'm Heather King. I'm your new Director of Curriculum Instruction. I guess I didn't meet you the last time. Hi, how are you? Sorry. So sorry. And so beginning of the date, we won't hit T-test for new teachers or new to district until August the 3rd. And that's just where we're going to give them a brief overview of what that evaluation looks like. We're not going to hit them hard and heavy with it. We're going to give them an overview, but then later on in PLCs, some of the administrators have asked us to just do that during a small group session, just because they tend to focus a little bit better when it's a small group, and when it's a whole group, kind of like Tier 1 instruction, sometimes it will go over their heads, and so it's better to hit them in small groups, just so if they have any questions, or that way we can really look at that rubric and really look and see, okay, this is where we want you to be, because we know that proficient is rock star teaching. And sometimes we tend to be a little bit on the developing side, which that's okay. That's fine. But we want it to be more proficient rock star teaching, because I know when I was in the classroom, I was like, I am not proficient. But that is rock star teaching. And so just kind of going through the rubric, going through the keywords with them on that. Then we have our late hires, and so this is just going to go down, and it's going to give you the dates. I think all of the dates, the due dates, are hit on a Friday, and then just so that they are aware if they need help, if they need. My goal is to, especially with our new principals in the elementary, is to really look and kind of go toward, kind of guide them along the process of what we're going to look for first. Classroom management, because we know that if classroom management isn't under control, learning is not going to happen. And so it's going to have a little trajectory of what we're going to look for. We're going to really look at doing a lot of calibration. We all want to be on the same page as far as what good instruction, great instruction looks like. Not good, but great instruction looks like. One of the things that you don't see on this is if a teacher doesn't agree with her observation, her final observation and the scoring, they have a certain amount of days. I think it's 10 days to ask for a re-eval. And so the second evaluator would be, so if the principal was their evaluator, the AP would be it, or Dan or I would come in to do that appraisal. And that has happened. That has happened in my time. And so, but that's the T-test. The next one we're going to hit is the retention protocol. And so, from what I'm hearing and just listening, and from what I've heard from the people on campuses and administrators, is that retention was not happening, and we know that that's hard for a parent to hear that your student is struggling. But it also, we don't want to send students with deficits. And so when we're looking at Bluebonnet, I don't work for Bluebonnet. I always tell people I don't work for Bluebonnet, but Bluebonnet is designed to fill in the gaps. It's to really look at what we're missing and what the deficits are, especially with the BOY assessment in first and second grade. But the key word for retention is communication with parents, and just having that communication between the teacher and the parent, just letting them know, okay, we're starting to see some trends in your student's education. We're starting to see some trends on are they understanding it? What needs to take place? And so what you have in front of you is the timeline. You have a timeline in front of you. Let me look at it real quick. I've slept with it. Do you think I would know this by heart already? So the timeline, it's going to look, or the rubric, we'll look at the rubric. It has kinder first, second through fifth. And so the mastery of content, and it's anything, for first through fifth. It's anything, first grade, it's anything below a 70 in reading and math. Mastery of content for second through fifth is cumulative grade in reading and math below a 70. So if a student is falling below that, then that's the time to have some communication. Whether it be their fall parent-teacher conference, or whether it just be holding a conference with those parents and just saying, hey, look, we're starting to see some gaps. And this is what we're going to do. One of the other criteria is testing. So looking at the NWEA, looking at math for kindergarten, CLI engaged, kindergarten report card. We know that in kindergarten and first, they set the foundation for learning. And so in first grade, we're starting to see a little bit of maybe where we have some deficits. Maybe we're not grasping it because we know that learning is developmental. From first to second, we're learning to read. From 3 through 5, we're reading to learn. Okay, and so for kindergarten and first, that's where that major communication needs to happen. While there's also attendance, we know that any child that is not in school 10% of the time, they're going to have deficits, and that could be your constitute for retention. Again, parent consent. Again, keyword communication with parents. I feel like teachers sometimes they're kind of scared to tell parents that there's some deficits in their children's learning because, they're sending us their prized possession, and it's our job to educate them and get them to where they need to be. And sometimes that's hard because sometimes teachers, I know I did, feel judged. Like I'm not doing my best. But really, we know that they're doing their best. Sometimes kiddos just learn at a different rate. And then the teacher recommendation that's required. We will also look at SPED. We'll look at the EB learners, our emergent bilingual learners. We'll look at every, what was the intervention that took place. So there's going to be a lot to factor into retention. We're just not going to hold a kid back just to hold them back. But we do know, studies have shown, that if they are not strong readers by the time they're in third grade, that they will not pass the STAR test. They just won't. And so we never want to send kiddos 2 grade levels behind because those gaps are really hard to fill in the third grade. And so you also have the decision tree, and that just kind of gives teachers a visual of like what needs to occur first, and then kind of trickles down. And then you have an example of what that retention meeting is going to look like. And then you have the parent notification of what's going to be sent home to parents. 9 times out of 10, parents will say, okay, because that's what's best for their kiddos, but you always have that one parent that's like, nope, I'm not going to hold my baby back. And that's their choice. It's just our job to educate them and really make them aware of this is what happens if we don't. And sometimes kiddos just need a little bit more time to cook. They do, and it's just our job to help parents see that. Any questions about retention?
Music to my ears.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing is, we want to,
And the thing is, we want to communicate that early and often so
Yes.
parents are aware, and it's not something that they can't say it wasn't communicated.
So have you all come up with a plan for those parents that don't communicate? I mean, I know and I'm saying this because I volunteer a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parents don't come to parent-teacher.
Right, and that's where our SROs come into play. I know that as an administrator in my previous district, I would take my SRO out there with me. If I had a hard time, if I couldn't get a hold of them as far as attendance, if they didn't show up for their parent-teacher conference, or if the teachers had tried to communicate with them or tried to contact them a number of times, I would take my SRO with me. I was like, Officer Rodriguez, can you come with me to knock on a door? And he's like, okay, yeah. And and 9 times out of 10, they'll open the door, and then we have that open door conversation. I'm like, hey, can I have a conversation with you? I'm not opposed to doing that at all, or helping a teacher do that. Any other questions? No? Okay. The good, the bad, and the transparency is key. So we did get science scores back, and we got 5th grade science back, and we've got 8th grade science back. And so I always love my keywords. My keywords this year is accountability. And so I know it's full transparency. I know. Full transparency. It's when we got them back, and then just looking at them, and let me tell you, it took me all weekend to really just look at it and decipher it. And until I have the TEKS in front of me, Marissa's going to upload those into Eduphoria. And it does hurt. It hurts to see that. I would have, just looking at all the red and knowing this is where we're going to start. This is where we're going to start. And again, like I said, my key word is accountability. We're going to hold teachers accountable from kindergarten all the way up, because again, they set that foundation. I've been working on the internalization process, and my CICs are going to work really, really, really hard. We're going to work together with campus principals and teachers and really look at, do you understand the curriculum? Do you understand how it's delivered? A lot of the times that academic vocabulary is what gets them. I know that from the previous campus, full transparency, K through 2, they just touched science and social studies. They just touched science, and it wasn't until 3rd grade that it was like, our 3rd grade teacher was like, whoa, you guys don't even know what the water cycle is? Hold on. And so that's when I went back to the drawing board and said, okay, what are you doing? And there might be a little bit of pushback with that accountability, but it's accountability. And it's hard to swallow, but everything, the TEKS, they build off of each other. And so knowing that kindergarten is going to build, 1st grade's going to build off of kinder, 2nd grade's going to build off of 1st, and so on. If we don't have that solid foundation, especially of that academic vocabulary, that's where we're going to start seeing those deficits. So just know, we do have a teacher, Mr. Downer. I met him this summer, and apparently the rave is he is amazing. And so I can't wait to get to work with him. He's excited. He's excited. He was like, we're really gonna look at that internalization piece because we really have to know. Teachers really have to know and understand what's in front of them, how they're going to deliver it. If students are not understanding, how are you going to reteach? And pulling those small groups. I know RTI was big. The last school board meeting I was at when I was introduced, RTI was big. Just know that there's an RTI protocol that's going to be put into place. If not myself and the CICs, we are going to heavily monitor that, as well as the progress monitoring. Because in order for scores to go up, we've got to know where to start and how to reteach, and small group instructions where it's at. So just know that the accountability piece is there. You might get some phone calls. I'm just going to warn you. And that's what my teachers would tell me. You might get some phone calls, so I'm going to pre-warn you that you might get some phone calls that, wow, this is a lot on our plate. But in order to grow and in order to be a B campus, A campus, that is our goal, accountability has to be there. So just know, I know this is hard to look at. I told when we met this afternoon I was doing this. So you might see a lot of this happening from me, but it's just because I know what students are capable of.
Well, I'll tell you, it's hard to look at, but we know.
Yeah.
And we see it at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just love everything that you're saying, and I thank you for what you've done so far, because I know from here on
Yes.
we're going to show growth.
Yes.
And the plan.
Yes.
I see it, I understand it, we're following what you're saying, and it's great.
If anything that I'm passionate about is growth.
Right.
Putting in systems, because without systems, you won't see growth. And
Right.
we're going to make them uncomfortable, but when you're uncomfortable, you're growing. And so that's going to be the saying is discomfort comes growth.
So how soon do you take action on a teacher that's not showing any growth or anything, or just not
Following through.
following through and not doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Immediate. One thing that I am not afraid of is hard conversations. Now my CICs, they're, I don't know what they're, just training them on having those hard conversations, but I call them the middleman. And so their job is to communicate with principals. When they communicate with principals and they're still not adhering to what the directive is, that's when I come into play. And it's a district directive. This is a non-negotiable. Hard conversations are not hard for me to have because it's not what's best for you, it's what's best for our students. And so that's what I'm passionate about, is that growth in the students. Now, do I need that teacher to understand? Sure I do. And that's going to be communicated. I think I have the ability to say, we're going to do this together. We're going to work together. If there's something that you don't understand, please let us know, because we're here to support you. And we're here to help you. Now, does it mean that we're going to go in and model a lesson? Sure will. That fills my bucket as a former teacher and an instructional coach. Let me model this for you. Let me model that higher level of thinking question. What does that student discourse look like? All of the things that will transfer over to the test.
So you'll work hand on hand with the CIC?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, and two of them went to Region 17 today for instructional leaders training, and so my one is on vacation, or she would have gone, but she's going to make that up August the 11th. And so just getting them, just equipping, and then getting them the training that they need, not only from me, but from Region 17 as well. Just, giving them the how to approach it, meet me in the middle, let's meet that teacher where they're at, and just things like that. So, any questions? I'm pretty passionate about that, you can tell. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
All right, new administrators.
We know him.
Michelle couldn't make it tonight. I'm assuming.
Yeah, she's in Disney.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she
How
had
come I didn't get an invite?
one final hurrah before coming back to work.
So Welcome to the district that you love and have been a part of already in the past, and everybody is just ranting and raving about Mr. Coronado. So.
Very glad to have you.
I'm excited to work with everybody. I do want to thank everybody, the board of trustees. I don't know everybody, so I'm Eric Coronado. I'm the new high school principal. But I'm very, very excited. I got to see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm meeting new ones. So I'm just excited to get started. Get started and working with everybody to make sure that high school continues to move in the right direction. We have seen growth. We can see better growth, but I'm excited to make that happen.
Very happy.
Thank you. What's on your plan? What do you? If that's a fair question to ask, what do you?
My plan to growth? Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm looking at. So it's just building teams right now. I'm definitely going to be working with Mrs. King, our instructional coaches. We already have plans. I want to meet with them at least once a week. Observations to see where our teachers are. Make sure that we're aligned whenever we do walkthroughs and that we give them the right resources so they can grow. So I did that when I was here, and so they already used to my system, and so I'm just excited that that's going to be one of the things is working with the new people, the instructional coaches, and but if we do see, like Mrs. King was saying, if we do see struggling teachers or teachers that are not performing like we know they could, yeah, we're gonna throw all our resources at them, and I'm gonna be part of that team. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Glad you're back.
Thank y'all. I'm glad to be back. Thank y'all.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right.
Whirlwinds.
All right, let's talk about the whirlwinds. You guys get to educate me. I don't know the history.
Whirlwinds, I don't know how far back. I know when I was in high school, middle school is always considered the whirlwind because it's an honor to be a tornado.
Okay.
So that's the history.
So
It's
when
that's
did it drop off? Like when did we become? He's
He's
like that's the answer.
Okay.
I was in the 8th grade, and I think we were the Green Warriors.
The Green
Oh,
Warriors.
yeah.
I see what you did.
Green Warriors.
Yeah, I see what you did.
You did. But I was
And
like,
I think when I went to high school, my freshman year. What year was it?
I think it was 2017.
Leroy, you should know also.
That was
Were you whirlwind? Okay, Frankie, when you were in school, you were
1980.
whirlwind?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Really?
it's
That's
always been, okay, that's
been a
the
good
thing,
while.
but you know, they didn't even wear black and gold in middle school. They wore black and white because
Yeah.
that's like the main deal is,
They wore green and yellow. The Green Warriors.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
but
but the whirlwind-
back then, but the whirlwinds,
Yeah.
they were black and white because
we had an occasional yellow.
occasional yellow every now and then, like a little strap or whatever, but
was it Vegas gold yellow or was it
no,
yellow?
Vegas
It was
gold
yellow.
is the golden
It was-
tornado. So
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like
It was
you're,
like a
Completely
yellow.
different
your
color.
little
Yes.
whirlwinds,
You were not allowed to.
and
wear
you
this
were growing into tornadoes.
Tornado.
Okay.
And I don't know where that like fell off, but
I
I
think from
really
the last time I looked at the middle school yearbooks, I want to say that it stopped around like 2004 or 5. I think is where.
no, because I was because I graduated.
Yeah, because I think it was like
Yeah.
2000, somewhere around there, like
Yeah.
mid to late 2000s. I think is when they turned over to the tours.
Sure.
I think it's a great idea to have the whirlwinds back because I've always looked at it like
You know
I
why
love that.
we took it away, right?
why?
Just kidding.
Oh, I mean, I
I was
just
waiting
think
for
that.
the side story.
Well, but you know what happens is they like the way it looks, the tornadoes and the black and gold and all the things, but there's a reason behind it.
That'd be cool.
Like everything else, you work up to it.
You work
have
up
to build to it. You don't just.
It's just like varsity, JV and varsity.
Yeah.
It's just like
And that's what, like, even how, I mean, I guess everybody started kind of wanting everybody to have a little bit of, like, let's just say the varsity always used to have, like, dinners. Well, now,
Everybody
middle
wants a
school
dinner.
started it. But, tradition over the years, I know for sure when I was in school, was always whirlwinds, and then you gradually
It gives you something to
go
look
up. It
forward
gives,
to.
gives you something to work to. So that's why we have the whirlwinds.
Okay.
I think it's a cool idea.
Would you guys like for us to proceed exploring? I honestly don't know what all at like middle school has tornado stuff? Because obviously
It would
we're
be
starting
too late
this.
for-
Yeah, if we're
it
starting
would
this
be-
year, it'd be too late.
Yeah, it would be too late because like cheer uniforms,
Like everything,
Football,
yeah.
basketball, stuff like that's already been ordered.
Budget. We did.
You have to
She's
come
like,
with-
stop.
She's writing
She's
for
like,
it.
no, we're still getting under $1 million until
She's like uncomfortable over there.
declassify
She has to
everything
get
as
her
world
seat.
wins.
I think the marshals need new uniform. We start off with 10 whirlwinds.
We're gonna put the singlets.
What's they have green on? What's
Maybe
they
it'll be the whirlwind. Who's gonna be a whirlwind?
And would that be like a board decision, or is that just something we're talking about? Or
That's real. That is, in my opinion, that is a board decision. That is
Were
not a
you-
leadership.
Were you on the board? No? Okay. I'll call my dad and be like, who
I was gonna say,
decided
Dad?
to change the whirlwinds?
Yeah.
I'll ask him. I'll ask him when I go home. Yeah.
Okay, so you want us to like investigate like all
I
the
think it would be
things?
cool
And,
to see.
okay, all right.
It's
I
too
will
late
definitely.
for this year, but
Well, yeah, I was like, no, not for this year. 'Cause,
no,
we did not
I won't
budget
be
for
able
that.
to do this year. But I mean, everything's already in place. It's not like they had a big old plaque or something that whirlwinds all over middle school. Everything, nothing changed. It's just,
Okay.
it's just uniforms and, I mean, they're just called the whirlwinds. I mean, that's what they have this for.
Yeah, all the things that have it. Okay,
Because
perfect.
half of them have Lanisa. I don't think a lot of them are tornadoes. So it's just, they don't say whirlwind. I mean, it's just black and white. All the cheer uniforms were black and white. They had little lettermans, but those were black and white.
Do you think that had to do with financial costs though?
No.
No, it was
It's
just
just, I don't
parents.
know what it is. I think maybe someone presented
It
it
was
and they
just
went with
parents
it.
that wanted everybody to be the same.
No, back then.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it was.
Will
But it
there
would be cool
will
to
there
know.
be an uprising if we go the other direction?
Who knows?
Who
Who knows?
You know what, maybe
We could
do
put out a
maybe
survey.
Yeah, we could
do
maybe
a survey.
lightly.
Frankie's really good at surveys.
Frankie. If we need surveys, Frankie knows.
So, who would you like the survey to go to? Just our current students and parents, or the greater community? You know, I'm just having on the
Do
like.
you think this is something we can start like putting out there before like Meet the Teacher?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
No, like we I'm just no. We need to get school started, and then.
Do the research first. I mean, figure out. Yeah.
Okay,
The community.
but like if you
I think
survey
community.
people.
I say the community.
I think
bunch of
it's the community.
bunch of the community that have kids or
They're
my age and
yeah,
they're
Pretty much-
Be the community.
pretty much everyone.
I wasn't a whirlwind.
Hey, Ernest, we'll only do it if you're the mascot.
I'll do
And it
it.
was a little tornado too. It
Yeah.
was a little whirlwind. He wasn't
Yeah, it was a little whirlwind. It wasn't a big.
Yeah,
It wasn't a big tornado either.
and he was yellow. He was not cold.
Hey,
Yeah, it's
All right.
Tony, right? Tony the whirlwind?
I don't know
don't
where
get
it
me
goes.
started on that.
Yeah,
I was
I am
like, just.
I don't know when this Tony the tornado started. It drives me crazy when I see that
Tony is
everywhere.
what it's called.
I'm like, what is that? Who named him Tony? But anyway, we're not going to talk about that.
Tony the
We're going to
tornado.
table that.
I'm gonna write that down. Tony.
Yeah.
Y'all better not call your tornado Tony around.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's.
All right, the Tech Ed
Ed
Conference is October 8th through the 11th in Houston. If you would like, I have a reserved room. I'm going to try and see if we can get into the conference hotel. It has not opened to the general public. I had a long conversation. But I was able to book a hotel that at the state rate, which was great. If the conference hotel opens up, that's right there attached, then I will change those rooms. But I do need to verify that all of you are planning on going. Yes.
Flying, right?
Unless you would like to drive 9 hours.
That's it.
Okay. Then the other question is, would you like for us to go ahead? I'm sure we can book and start looking at booking flights for everyone. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so then, if you will do us a favor, if you will send us, Burnett is going to help me with this. If you will send us your legal name and your date of birth, so we can get those booked. And then as soon as we get those booked, we'll let you know, so that if you want a spouse to attend with you, you can book on that same flight. Or a +1. Let me say a spouse or a +1.
That's what to say, girls. Y'all know better.
That's girls with you.
Does Lisa not go? Does Lisa not go to board convention?
Yeah, yes.
She's not ever been?
She's had BPA stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah. she
Oh, is
goes
it
to
competitions?
BPA. Usually
Oh,
she's
okay.
But Dora doesn't go, none of the spouses usually go.
We don't take
Oh,
spouses.
but they can.
But
Say it
they
really
can.
quietly. So it's not.
Is that
We
how?
don't, I don't.
Not really, but like my husband was in big trouble for not going to our horse show.
Oh,
Like, because I was the
yeah.
only one without a spouse.
No, we usually
Everybody
just
had
hang
one.
out for the,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, but as soon as we get those booked, if you'll send us an email so that we can get legal names and date of birth on the flights, we'll get those booked. And then if I can get the conference hotel, I will get that. It opens tomorrow, so I will let y'all know. Everyone's going. August board meeting will be August 20th, and convocation is August 4th. And then I sent y'all the list today of just the different things that are happening. And as we get more updates on those things, I'll just kind of keep y'all updated on those things.
Okay.
Any questions? All right, action items.
Okay. Deliberation and possible action to approve the minutes from the special meeting of June 23rd and regular meeting of June 23rd, 2026.
I make a motion we approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Deliberation and possible action to approve T-test appraisal calendar for 26-27.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Deliberation and possible action to approve T-test alternative appraisers for 26-27.
Make a motion we approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Deliberation and possible action to consider establishment of the school marshal program.
I make a motion we approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Deliberation and possible action to approve the student code of conduct.
Move to accept as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Deliberation and possible action to approve the PCAT school insurance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
motioned?
Who motioned? Albert.
Albert.
Albert and second?
The second was Kevin.
Deliberation and possible action to approve the ESC 17 contracts.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. No further action taken. This meeting is now adjourned.